What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're over here. We're at Randy's shop. We're going to be working on his car again today. Making some progress. Courtney's over here. Brian's on the way. Happy's on the way. Sent Milton a message. I don't know if Milton's going to come or not. So we're going to have a good crowd over here today working on it. Courtney and Randy's already here. You excited, Randy?
Yeah.
Get parts and pieces. It's early Saturday morning. Well, it's not real early. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock. Got down here. We're going to try to spend all day on this thing. We got a lot to do. We're going to start off. We're going to take the intake off. We're going to take the valve covers off of it, take the rocker arms off of it. Go ahead and change the valve springs, retorque the heads, and then we'll start reassembly from there. So that's the big work today. Check it out, guys. Go to turbojohnracing.com. Grab yourself some merchandise. Comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks. All right, guys. So we got the intake off of it. We're going to go ahead and start taking the rocker arms off. Now, in an ideal world, all these will be the same. All push rods will be the same. The rockers on the exhaust and the intake will be the same, but they're not. So you have to be very careful when you're taking these things apart. Make good documentation, which is what we're doing right now by recording this. And we're going to try to keep them in order when we take them off. But this one on the intake side is the H51s. So I'm going to go over here and set it on here. And the exhaust is the G. You know, maybe we should take an engraver at some point and just engrave them. And these are all steel rockers, of course. The other thing you have to do, what you just saw Courtney turn this over, you want to get this so there's play when you take this off. Now these are individual, so you could do them individually as you go. I could take this one off in order, but what I like to do is spin the motor over so that it's on the compression stroke as it's coming up, and then you can take both of them off at the same time. Yeah, hold on a second. Now, these are Mac Daddy beefy push rods. So they're again on the intake side. This is a Manton push rod, and this one is the 10-200 on the intake side, and on the exhaust side is 10-400 is what this one is. All right, guys, so all the rocker arms are off. So we're going to develop, me and Courtney were just talking about doing some type of tray. I mean, we essentially have a pro mod here that we're working with. It's a show mod. So, so we're going to make like a piece of aluminum or something so that we can put the rocker arms on it and then slide the holes in it so we can slide the push rods in it. And then that'll just make it thankless for us when we're taking it apart and putting it together, as long as they go in the right hole. You still got to know what's what, though, so we probably need to get an engraver at some point, too, and mark these. All right, guys, so we just gathered up all the tools. We're fixing to change the valve springs. All right, guys, so changing the valve springs on the car, not super hard. We have, this is a compression tester. He's got a kit here. The thing you have to do, though, with a compression tester is you got to take the Schrader valve out, because when you're using this as a compression tester, obviously you want it to hold pressure. We don't want it to hold pressure, and we got it going the opposite way. So all you got to do is screw the Schrader valve out, screw that in the cylinder. When this is in the cylinder, now this is where it gets a little sketchy and makes it more challenging, is you put compressed air on this. And so the valves are up, they're sealed, so the piston will go down in the hole. So at that point, if something happens, I mean, there is a chance that's when you lose the valve down into the chamber. And that's also when you have to pull the head off of it to retrieve the valves. Usually doesn't hurt anything. I mean, because, you know, it just is what it is. But the goal is to not do that. So first thing you do, we'll put air on this. We have this LSM tool here. That's what we're actually going to use to compress the valve springs. We've already got this set up at the proper orientation. I think it's for all of them. I think it is, but it's easy to change if not. So we're gonna pump this up. Critical thing that you have to do also is these locks. You have to take these locks, and they're seated pretty tight in the retainer. So what you do is you take a hammer and a big socket on the actual retainer here, and you smack it pretty hard. And then what that does is it kind of frees it up a little bit. Basically what we're trying to do is make it simulate kind of like how it would drop a valve if the retainer just got pushed. Just hit it with a hammer and hit it kind of hard, and that'll break them loose. And then our tool will just squash down on it and take it right off. So these are the valve springs Randy's got, the exact same valve springs. You can see they got some seat pressure on these things. And so same part number, same springs. We are not going to check installed height and all that because they're the exact same spring. It should be fine. All right, guys, so here's the spring. It's a big Mac Daddy triple spring. So like on my car, I only run a dual spring. Courtney's car, he's got like single springs probably. Have you ever looked at me? Because seat pressure on yours is like 60, 80 pounds, 90 pounds.
Mine's got a lot of springs though, right? There's a lot.
Yeah, you got a lot of springs because you got more chains than brains. But look, he's like, I ain't heard that in a while. Appreciate it, crackhead. But this is the spring we're putting on it, so it's going to be interesting. Let's do it real fast.
All right, let's watch John do one of these.
Not too bad. Oh, I didn't smack it, did I?
You did not.
You might could try it without smacking, but usually what happens is if you don't smack it with the hammer, it doesn't. Don't smack it till you get air in it. But all you're doing is you take a big socket, hit on the retainer, don't hit the valve tip. So basically, you're just shocking it so the retainer comes loose from the keepers, from the valve locks. These are radial valve locks. But if you don't do that, most of the time what will happen is when you compress the spring, it will just push down the valve. And this is an awesome tool. This LSM tool is pretty cool. Very user friendly. This shock tower is going to be in the way on the bottom ones.
Oh, but we cleared that one. Oh, you be careful. There we go.
Oh, look, we're going to hit the paint. Oh, no.
No, you're hitting that. You ain't hitting the paint. Oh, yeah, I guess you could run it up with your fingers and then just use that to turn it to last a little bit.
Yeah. I guess we could put a socket on here or something. Let's go. Oh, is it going to clear?
We'll clear that one. You can put a socket on it and just crank it with a... Oh, so that's what that's for on the end. Is in case you have a clearance issue. Yep, they have it indexed.
You can get it to the end. Oh. And get a little bit more. It also gives you a little bit more
leverage.
But basically, once that goes on there, see how it completely compressed it. Just throw your magnet down in there. Grab your locks. These are radial locks. These are not the same as a normal lock. But you see how it's going to be hard to see, but that.
We can see it on camera.
Okay, it's a half moon instead of squared. They call them radial locks. They're supposed to be a lot stronger and more secure. So now, something we did see a minute ago. The reason we're doing all the top ones, the intakes and the exhaust are at a little bit of a different angle. So we're going to have to change this to make it so that we can do it. So it's easier to move this hose from cylinder to cylinder instead of changing the tool every time.
Look at the spring. I put them in that bag. Okay. That way we don't get them mixed up. So the old ones are inside the Harbor Freight, the China buffet bag.
And the other thing you have to be careful of with springs, which these are the exact same ones, but these on the retainers, they have steps. And if these are not the proper size, they won't work right. And then what you'll end up having, which I've done it, is say for the instance, this inside, if it was a bigger diameter than this inside spring, then it would push down here and it wouldn't locate it. But the problem is, that's not necessarily the problem. It changes the installed height pressure a little bit, but the biggest problem is it will actually coil bind. And then when it coil binds, it breaks the spring and kicks the valve out. So that's why you have to be careful.
Now, is both ends the same? Does it matter?
Yeah, they're the same.
They're the same. See, that's how it looks flatter.
Yeah, like it's just where the springs are pushed down.
It's just how it is.
That's where they adjust the pressure. Is the length of those springs? It's the length of the springs and the diameter of the coil. That's how you get your spring rate.
But when this is compressed, it's the same on both ends. Yeah, so you can't accidentally put it in backwards.
No, that's right. There is no up and down. So you just get it on there, put it back where it needs to be, center it. This tool makes life a lot easier. Our buddy Rodney got us this tool. He used to use it on his car, and he changed. And so basically, you just stick it on here. And you Pro Mod Randy was going to use this better than him. Boy, I am close to that paint.
Nobody cares about that paint. Randy, if you watch the video, we do care about the paint, Randy.
We're trying to kind of keep away from
We
it.
have not touched the paint.
Not yet. We ain't done but 3 yet. That's close. Now the bottom ones are going to suck.
Yeah, we're going to do them with a wrench or socket. Yeah, so that's...
So sticking these back on, very easy. You just have to get it down in there. So you can feel it when it locks in to the groove on the valve. And once it gets a little bit further down in there, it'll slide itself up and go around. And there it goes, and it locks right in. You just have to pay attention when you're putting it together. And then once we do this, we'll get this back up, take this off, and I always take the hammer with a socket while the air is still on the cylinder holding the valves up, and just smack it real hard on the retainer, just kind of to make sure everything's locked in. It's an old school way to do it. I don't know if they still do that now in like the professional teams or not.
And then we literally are just putting paint across it because we don't know if Randy has a paint marker or a Sharpie, so we're just making sure that we don't accidentally get mixed up. So that's why there is tape across it. It's not like holding anything. We just did that because we don't know where everything's at in Randy's shop. That's how you do it.
All right, guys. Well, we have successfully done the intake side. So now we got to readjust the tool and do the exhaust. Now the exhaust is going to be a little bit more challenging. Honestly, I don't know if the tool's going to fit in between right here and there. That could be an issue. Yeah. Is it going to fit?
Not on that one.
Well, it might fit. God, it barely fits, don't it? I mean, it does fit. Ish.
It really looks like it's about the same angle, honestly, if you look at it like that.
Yeah, we'll adjust it. It was definitely off on the other side, I thought. Maybe. Now, if we're having to do double the work, that's going to be crazy. But it is what it is. I'm pretty sure it was off. So we're going to readjust it real fast and do the exhaust. All right, guys, so check this out. So I just readjusted this tool. We're on the exhaust side now. And a few minutes ago, we were talking about how you always tap the retainer with the socket and the hammer. I did not do that. That's the valve opening. The lock did not let loose. So I have to...
Oh, so it's pushing
yes.
this down. Okay.
So that's why you have to tap it to make the retainer, the locks let loose of the retainer.
Gotcha.
If you don't do that, it won't do that. So now we got to take this back off real quick, tap it with a hammer, and it'll go right out.
That makes sense now. So the tool is literally pushing the whole assembly down together.
Right.
It's doing the same thing that the rocker arm does.
That's right, but instead of on the valve, it's on the retainer pushing it down.
Gotcha.
But that's fine.
So we just confirmed that you probably should tap it.
Yeah.
First.
So. All right, guys, all the valve springs are now changed. It wasn't too bad. The little impact gun really helped on these exhausts that were down here on the bottom. So all these are done. Next step, we're going to take the rocker stands off, and then we're going to retort the heads since we're right here at it. All right, guys, so Randy had to go get some tools for us to do the torque on the head studs for the heads. So Jeff and Courtney have been putting on the headers. Got the starter on it, got the oil pump on it. This is pretty trick right here. Got him a nice Jones belt, and it's got a little bit of play there. Again, you're depending on the cog, so you don't want it super, super tight. Braswell done a great job setting all this up. Everything is just really tight clearance, but that's what it is. So putting these fittings on the oil pump, that's gonna be interesting. But in order to do that, we got to get all the stuff done. So Randy's about now to go ahead and torque these head studs in just a minute, retort the heads, then we'll put the rock arms back on it, and then we'll put the intake on it and the rest of the turbo kit. start making some lines. Courtney, what you thinking? Fun?
It's been easy besides the 2 bolts I stripped.
That's not. Which 2 exactly did you strip?
When they fall out the car going down the track, you know?
I mean, the ones that stripped on out.
There ain't no strip. We ain't tightening them down. We're scared to tighten them down. We got the opposite problem.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so we're making progress. Courtney's screwing with Randy. All right, so here's Randy. He's torquing down the heads, retorquing the heads. You do these one at a time, so it's critical. You don't back them off a ton. These have a lot of torque on them, 125 foot-pounds of torque. So basically, you just go through the torque sequence on the way you torque the heads down, back them off one at a time, and then tighten it back up. And we just pull it. All you do is loosen it down to 75, 80 foot-pounds of torque. Some people might go less than that, but that's all we do. And you tighten it back up, easy enough. And this is the hard side because, you know, left-handed, you got to push and pull. So he's only got 2 more over here, and then we'll hop on the other side. All right, guys. Well, we went live for about an hour as they were finishing up the stuff there. If y'all didn't see that, go check out that live on our channel. And we got all the rock arms done. We got the valve train stuff done. Got the heads retorqued. Now they've got the intake on. Headers are on. All of this stuff is working. It's going together. It looks like it is coming. So next pieces, we got turbo kit to install. Here we go. All right, guys, so we're making some progress here. So the turbo is now on. The turbo kit is completely done. The all this stuff is fine. This one was kind of a pain in the butt to put on. That 5-inch, that's a 5-inch. This is a 4. That worked a little better. So we did make a boo-boo. If you have a Peterson pump, we done this last year. It says not to use a impact driver to prime your fuel system or your oil pump. We were using impact, and it sheared the little pin off. So just going to get a pin for that. Looks like it's just like a needle bearing or something. So this is looking pretty good. So Courtney just grabbed the fuel cell. So that's going on now. And then once the fuel cell gets on, then we're going to start making lines. Yay. 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 Good question. All right, guys, so we're making progress, but the last couple hours we hadn't really made much progress. So they're over here now, and they are clocking the oil tank. So we're figuring out, we got a long list of stuff that we need to purchase. So that's what we got to get so far. So we're not quite done with getting a punch list. It's going to be, that oil pump, man, it's so close to everything. It's so close to the headers. It's so close to the oil pan. It's going to be a challenge to make this work properly. But we got to get some tight radius fittings. So now they're working on the oil still, and I'm working on the fuel lines. And this is the old one. It's not quite the right length of course because it was made for the intake. These are spread further. But we've got to go from the fuel pump down here. So this is the fuel pump. This is the outlet. We got to get just a piece of hose here, connect this all together. He's got everything to do the lower hose from the fuel to the pump. So then we got to go out of here, and we got to go into this Y and go into one side of these rails, and then going out of the rails. Okay, I know what we're going to do. We're going to have to make these longer. This is going to go under the intake, and then we're going to feed it from here to the back, and then we're going to come straight out of here and then go down to this regulator. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. right, guys. Well, we are done for the evening. We got a game plan. We've been running mock hoses the whole way. It's now 9 o'clock. We put solid 10 hours in. I got here at like 10, so we had about an hour lunch-ish. So we put in some work today, guys. Made a lot of progress. So this is a good thing, man. So it's getting closer. Still got a lot to do. I mean, it's all tight. God, it's tight. But I think we got it. I think. What y'all think?
You got it.
I think. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Lots of parts and pieces that Randy still got to order. But once he gets it all ordered, we'll be making lines. And that's what we figured, you know, I thought we would have enough hose to kind of chop up and go where we needed to go, but not quite. But because everything's moved. But this is going to be a pretty good layout. They've already reclocked the dry sump tank, so that is in its permanent location. Have you already tightened it down too? Maybe?
Snug, it's not like, it needs to be actually.
All right, we're getting closer. Motor's ready. All we need is fuel and oil lines and fire in the hole. All right, guys, don't forget, go check out Courtney's channel, The Paint and Paper Hustle, and we'll see y'all soon. Later, guys.